Okay, I'm a man of faith. Now, if I ask a question and I see you looking down, I take it by faith that maybe you've got the answer. So, my brother.
Let me paraphrase. AUA provides Christian education for competent leadership.
Okay, you're not far from the kingdom. Although you're not yet inside. Anyone else wants to try? Okay, I will read it for you. The mission of the Adventist University of Africa is to deliver dynamic postgraduate education in a Christian context, to prepare graduates to provide competent leadership and service based on integrity, respect, and love to meet the needs of church and society. Do you hear that? Right. AUA was basically established to train the workforce for the church in Africa. Originally it was to train leadership for the church. Then it was discovered that they mean to say that everyone who graduates wants to be a leader. Unfortunately, the leadership positions are fewer than the rest of the positions, so it becomes a problem. So it is to train the workforce. Let's leave it at workforce. Leadership or not, but the workforce. Now, that's the primary reason why it was established. But of course, there are so many branches. Now, may I see those of us who are church workers or denominational employees? Just show by raising your hand. Okay. May I see those of us who are not denominational employees? Okay. Not a single one. So all of us who are in this room right now are church workers, denominational employees. Now, what I want to say is that we need to understand that if we are denominational employees, we are working for God. It doesn't matter what we are doing, we are working for God. Yes, sometimes we view pastors as the only ones who are working for God. The rest of us who are doing other things are doing other things, not necessarily working for God. But the bottom line is that Christ is the head of the church, and everyone working for the church is working for God. Yeah. So it is important that we understand that. So now, if all of us are church workers working for God, it is important that we understand a few things about the assignments that God gives us. Yes. God assigns us whatever we are doing, whatever vocation we find ourselves doing, we must know that it is God who has assigned us. We are going to read from the book of Joshua. Those of you who have your Bibles, you can turn to Joshua chapter 1. We won't read many verses, just 9. And then we will see what we can glean from that. Joshua chapter 1, verse 1, starting from verse 1. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spoke to Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, you and all these people, to the land which I am giving to them, the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given you, as I said to Moses. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and to the great sea towards the going down of the sun, shall be your territory. No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you. Verse 6. Be strong and of good courage, for to these people you shall divide as an inheritance the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper together wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word. Amen. These first 9 verses of Joshua chapter 1, we see God commissioning Joshua. Moses had just died, so Joshua was supposed to take over the leadership of Israel as they proceed to the promised land, Canaan. And from these 9 verses, there are some lessons that we can glean pertaining to the assignments that God has given us. I asked you, and all of us raised hands, that all of us here are working for the church. So each of our assignments, whatever we find ourselves assigned to do, there are certain things that we need to understand so that we will know how to handle the assignment. In the interest of time, instead of sharing all 10 of them, we'll limit them to 5. We'll just share 5 basic assignments. Number 1, God's assignments are clearly given and they are specific. Now I need you to see, from Joshua chapter 1 verse 2 to 4, God made it clear to him what he was supposed to do. He was to arise and go over the Jordan with all the people. That's what we see there. And he was given the exact territory that they were going to take over. How far it will go, to the left, to the right, as far as the Euphrates, to the going of the side, all that, the directions and the extent of the territory that they were supposed to conquer. God gave Joshua the specifics. Now it is important that as we work for God, each one of us understands the specific assignment that we have been given. Sometimes we get overzealous and we want to do other people's work. I worked in another institution where there were some people who would love to do other people's work. The problem comes when you discover that their own work is not fully done. But the brother is wanting to help you in your work when his work is not done. God is specific. Let us do what we have been assigned to do. What does the church say? Amen. Yes. There are a few examples that we find in the Bible. In Genesis chapter 12, verse 15, God said this to Abraham. He was still Abraham at that time. Leave your country and go to Canaan. That's the paraphrase, summarized version. He was to leave his country and go to Canaan, to a land that God was going to show him. He was not specified at that time. He was going to show him. And Abraham did just that. There was no other assignment. That's what he had to do at that time. Exodus 3 verse 10, God spoke to Moses in a burning bush, said to him, go to Pharaoh so that you can bring my people out of Egypt. That was the summary of the assignment. Not too many other things. It was that specific. God, every time God assigns us, he is specific in what he expects us to do. Are we together? Amen. Yes. Another example, Jeremiah 1 verse 5. God made it clear to Jeremiah that he had appointed him to be a prophet to the nations. That was Jeremiah's assignment. It was specific and it was clear. Paul was a prophet to Gentiles. Okay, oh, very good. I saw that someone was hesitating. Okay, so the assignments that God gives us are specific. It is very important that we know what we have been assigned and we stick to that. In Christian service, it reads thus: the secret of our success in the work of God will be found in the harmonious working of our people. There must be concentrated action. Every member of the body of Christ must act his part in the cause of God, according to the ability that God has given him. We must press together against obstructions and difficulties, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart. Now, this is what I need us to understand. God has given different spiritual gifts to every member of the church. Hello?
Amen.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
Every member of the church is given a spiritual gift. It is up to the church to recognize the spiritual gifts in the different members and assign them responsibilities that are in line with their spiritual gifts. And so if each one is doing what they've been assigned to do, they are supposed to concentrate on that. Specialize in your area. And then the rest God will take care of. Every member of the body must act his part. In other words, your specific part is what you are supposed to do. The minute you start tampering with someone else's part, it results in disaster. What does the church say? He that hath an ear, let him hear. Right. Number 2. God gives support to those he gives responsibilities. If you read verse 9 of that first chapter, it says, "Have I not commanded you, be strong and of good courage, do not be afraid nor dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." As long as Joshua will be doing what God has assigned him to do, God was going to be with him. So we see that God's assignments are always a joint venture between us and God. As long as you are doing what God has assigned you, you can be sure that's a joint venture. He is going to be with you until the end. There's one place in the Bible where Jesus said, "Lo, I am with you till the end." And you'll notice that he was giving the Great Commission. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptize them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and gives that whole nation, said, "And lo, I am with you till the end of the age." He promises his presence with us as we are doing what he has instructed us to do. We cannot do our own thing and say, "No, but he said he'll be with me till the end." No, that promise was given to those who will be working on the Great Commission. What does the church say?
Amen.
Right. So this is what we need to understand, that these assignments are a joint venture with God as long as we are working on what we have been assigned to do. In Christian Service, page 75, we read thus, "All who desire the cooperation of the heavenly messengers must work in unison with them. Those who have the unction from on high will in all their efforts encourage order, discipline, and union of action, and then the angels of God can cooperate with them." Are we together? This is the condition for the cooperation of God's angels. As long as we are working in unison with God and ensuring that we're doing what he has asked us to do, then he is going to make sure that he gives us support in whatever we're doing. Another quote comes from Review and Herald, March 2, 1911. "The Holy Spirit will guide and direct those who stand ready to go where God calls, and to speak the words he gives them. The humble, patient, Christ-like worker will have something to show for his labors. Everyone who goes forth seeking to do his best will have the support of the one who can supply all his necessities. The great master worker will not leave him alone. The mightiest man on earth is the man who prays in sincerity of soul. Such a one grasps the arm of infinite power. It is close communion with God that qualifies his messengers to subdue the opposition of the enemy. God calls for consecrated workers who will be true to him." So that relationship, once we have that relationship, we can be assured that we have the support from God. Number 3, God has expectations on his servants. Now, there's so many of them. I'll just zero in on one that is highlighted here. If you read verse 6 and 7 and 9, it says, "Be strong and of good courage. For to these people you shall divide as an inheritance the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go." And verse 9, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." God has promised his presence. And he says we must be strong and courageous. Now that necessarily means that sometimes as we work for God, there are so many things that come up that may discourage us. Are we together? There are so many things that happen, and God is saying, let us be strong and courageous. The word or the phrase, fear not or do not be afraid, someone said appears in the Bible 365 times. I didn't count it myself, I just heard that. That's how many times it appears. In all its variations, fear not, do not be afraid, and all those. 365. And that signifies that there's one for each day of the year. Every day as you wake up, there's a brand new fear thou not. Are we together? Yes, that's what God expects from us. We should not be afraid. As long as we are pursuing his mission and going about the assignment that we have been given, we should not be afraid. Are we together? Now, here's the catch. It does not mean that there will not be storms. Are we together? Actually, someone once said, if you do not meet the devil in your course, you might be walking the same direction with him. So you should expect that you meet storms, the things will go in ways that you do not expect, and you'll be in troubled waters. But always remember, who sent you? Are you together? Yes, there's a story in the Bible where Jesus told his disciples, let us cross over to the other side. Do you remember that story? And there was a big storm on the Sea of Galilee, and as they were trying to get the water out and struggling with it, trying to row to shore, they discovered Jesus was sleeping. Asked, Master, don't you care that we perish? And the record says he stood up and rebuked the sea. Ellen White says he actually stood up and he stood still. The boat was being tossed to and fro, but he stood still. He was able to stand still in the midst of that storm and said, peace be still. And there was calm. What the disciples needed to remember was, who is the one who had said, let us cross over? The sea, at his command, they could be sure that he was able to calm that storm. Are we together? So as long as we're doing what God has assigned us, he expects us not to be afraid. He expects us to have courage, and he's going to take care of us. The storms will come, they're sure to come, but let us remember who has sent us, who has said we must cross over. Number 4. Success in God's assignment is conditional on obedience. Hello? Yes. We cannot expect to do God's assignments anyhow. In Kenya, say anyhowly. There's a word in Kenya that says anyhowly. You cannot expect to do them anyhow and expect God to give us success. Are we together? Yes. There's always a way of doing everything. Verse 8. Listen to what... this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. You shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Are we together? So the condition for success is in holding on to the book of the law and meditating on it. Hello? Yeah. Yes. So basically what are we talking about? We're talking about compliance to set rules and guidelines. It is very important that we know that every assignment that we have, there are certain rules and regulations that go with it. Hello? Yes. First of all, as a Christian, our one guide, our rule of faith is the Bible. Hello? Yes. It's not the issue of the end justifies the means. No. There are certain things that God expects. There are certain principles that he has given us in his word that we are supposed to follow. And especially as those of us who claim to be working for the master, we have to follow that. So there are so many books that we have that give us rules and regulations. Let me just cite a few. We have the working policies. Hello? Yes, you know, the church is the best organized organization under the sun. And some people who have studied our church say that some of these policies were crafted by intelligent men. But we know that it was not intelligence, but were inspired men. We have policies that give guidelines into how we handle different aspects of the work. And these policies have been born out of experience. The church has gone through a lot. They've gone, and as a result, policies are developed so that we know how we can be wiser and handle some of these things in the future. Are we together? And then I come, I think I can do without the policy. I have a better way. It is unfortunate. We've got the church manual. Hello? Yes, it's one document that unites us together all over the world. One document that is a manual for all of us. So that if you go to Japan, the job description of a deacon is the same as in Southern Africa. Are we together? Whether you go to China, you go to the US, it's just the same. There's one manual because we are one church. Are we together? Yes. We have accounting manuals and so many other documents that you can think of. The problem that we have is that sometimes we want to despise these documents and want to do things our own way. What we are learning here is that success in the assignments that God has given us is conditional on obedience. Are we together? When you are, actually they say for you to be a good leader, you must be a good follower. Hello? Yes. So you must be able to follow a document that someone else whom you've never met designed. And say, this is the manual that we use when we're here. Are we together? Yes. But the problem sometimes we get too, we have all sorts of problems. I don't know why, and people don't want to comply with certain things. But these things, once you teach yourself to be obedient, it's easier to obey any other command that God will give you. If you just teach yourself to be obedient, and this guarantees our success. I once worked at a conference where the people were sometimes it depends when someone has been given an instruction or an assignment by someone else, a higher office, let me put it that way, a higher office, they tend to want to disregard these other smaller offices. I'll be a little more specific. If a certain pastor, okay, maybe let me just say worker, so that the pastors don't get offended. As a worker has been given an assignment by the president. When that worker comes to the finance office because they need some assistance before they go, sometimes they do not want to comply with the requirements. Hello? Yes, because they've been assigned by the president. Now, Ellen White tells us that order is the first law in heaven. Hello? Order is everything must be done in an orderly fashion. If you read this book, Early Writings, I think it's the 4th chapter, that talks about God's love for man, for his people, or something like that. It says that in heaven, the angels have got golden cards. Have you read that chapter? Yes. Hello? They've got golden cards, and as they leave heaven on assignment, they go by the gate. There's another angel where they have to clock their cards. Have you heard that one? Yes, read chapter 4 of Early Writings. So this angel has been sent by God the Father, hello, but does not bypass this other angel, because the other angel is also on duty. Yeah, he's waiting there. You have to clock your card here. So there's no bypassing of that other angel because they are also performing their duty. Are we together? So that order is maintained and observed in heaven. Even though God is saying, going to do this on earth, he knows that I still have to clock through the other angel. Hello? Right. Success is conditional on obedience. So we've got all these documents we can talk about. As long as we follow them, God will give us success. Let us obey whatever has been laid down, all the laid down rules and procedures, and we'll be happy. I'm reading from Christian Service, page 75, paragraph 3. Angels work harmoniously. Perfect order characterizes all their movements. The more closely we imitate the harmony and order of the angelic host, the more successful will be the efforts of these heaven agents in our behalf. What does the church say? Okay, number 5. God's timing is always the best. Now, we have assignments that we have been given. Sometimes we prefer other assignments. We have been asked to be the TVC for finance, but I might just feel maybe it would be good one day for me to be the VC. Now, you sometimes it just happens that you've been given this assignment, but you prefer the other one. Are we together? Yeah. So it is important that we know that God's timing is the best. Hello? Yes. Now what we see here is that Moses was asked to lead the children of Israel from out of Egypt. Hello? But just before they crossed, God told them that you will not cross over. Hello? And God asked that Joshua is the one who's going to lead them into Canaan. Sometimes people don't understand why Moses had been a friend of God, and even immediately after that, God came and resurrected him and took him. If you read Jude verse 9, Jesus came and resurrected him and took him to heaven. But why not? And God's timing is the best. Are we together? And we see this in this story here. It took 40 years for Joshua's leadership style to match the need for the moment. All the while, God needed, all the 40 years without going through the wilderness, God needed someone with the temperament of Moses. Joshua was not the right kind of person for that job. Joshua's time was, God knew when it was now time for a Joshua character. Are we together? Yeah. Moses led through 40 years of desert travel, whilst Joshua led through 30 years of conquering Canaan. Joshua was a conqueror. Are we together? So he wasn't the right person for the wilderness. Moses was a political, diplomatic leader, whilst Joshua was a military, in-your-face leader. Did you notice the difference? Yes. And all those in-your-face things were not yet required in the wilderness. Are we together? Moses patiently listened to complaints, but Joshua confronted laziness and fear of the enemy. Are we together? Yes, because now they were where they had arrived, and now they had to make sure that they established. Are we together? But that time, as they were memory and all that, they needed someone who would be patient and leading them through until all those rebels have died. Now these are leftovers who are going to Canaan. They needed someone who would nurture them accordingly. Moses led as a peacemaking shepherd, but Joshua led people as a tough commander. Moses provided water from a rock when the people got thirsty. Maybe there are too many words there. We should reduce one of those. Either west or end. Joshua told people to dig their own wells when they got thirsty. You see that there were different, yeah. So, but what I want us to see is this. The leadership style of Joshua was not yet necessary during the wilderness years. Are we together? When the time was right, God retired the one and raised the other. Are we together? Yes. So, whatever we've been assigned to do, let us be patient. Yes. You know, I wait most of my years at the conference. That's why my last session will be conference. There was someone who once came and addressed a workers' meeting. It was an administrators' meeting. And he said, Secretary, are there any executive secretaries here? Yes. Are there? Yes. Okay, there's only one. This is not about you, it's just a general thing. He said, secretaries, you are not presidents. Neither are you the next. Then he left it like that. Apparently the president had complained that some of the secretaries are acting too presidential. They're confusing things here. So, but anyway, God's timing is the best. You just wait, do whatever you've been assigned, God will look at the rest. Are we together? Yes. Moses led diplomatically. He sat and judged the people patiently as they grumbled through long years in the desert. By the time the Israelites reached Canaan, fierce enemies awaited them, and they needed a much more confrontational leader, a military man skilled in war. Are we together? This is what happened. It was now the time for Joshua to enter the scene. I'll read something from the Ministry of Healing. If any are qualified for a higher position, the Lord will lay the burden not alone on them, but on those who have tested them, who know their worth, and who can understandingly urge them forward. It is those who perform faithfully their appointed work day by day, who in God's own time will hear the call, come up higher. What does the church say? Amen. So, God's timing is the best. Whatever assignments that we have been given, let us do them faithfully, and God will reward us accordingly. So just a recap. God's assignments are clearly given and they are specific. God gives support to those he gives responsibilities. God has expectations from his servants and that we should be courageous and not be dismayed. And success depends on obedience. And finally, God's timing is always the best. It is my prayer that the Lord may be with each one of us, and as we consider the assignments that we have been given, that we can do them faithfully, and remember that it is God who has assigned us, and therefore let us do these things according to the way he expects us to do them. What does church say?